Hello everyone and welcome to Organic Matters, the podcast brought to you by the Irish Organic Association. You might hear a bit of clucking in the background, and that's because I'm in a big free-range organic hen unit here in County Monaghan, and the farmer Gordon McCoy is here next to me. Gordon, we're in the packing centre at the minute, is it, or the packing part of it? To give me the lay of the land, because clearly I don't know what I'm talking about from the look on your face. So exactly, where are we? Where are we at the minute in terms of your general farm enterprise?
Yeah, we're in the packing area of the poultry house.
Full points to me, so that's great, thanks.
It's I suppose we have four 3,000 bird houses, and it makes part of our farm up, and it's, I suppose, you could class it as the commercial end of the farm. Same as somebody had dairying, we have poultry, so it's more, I suppose, intensive than your normal farm, part.
But it's interesting because this part of Monaghan, we're very close to the border here, and there does seem to be a lot of poultry houses. Would they be all conventional, or is anyone else doing organic apart from you in this area?
There's quite a few organic. I think there's most of the organic hens in Ireland are from County Monaghan, in the Republic of Ireland are in County Monaghan, and I suppose it just traditionally has been that there's a lot of poultry in County Monaghan. So I remember it growing up, there used to be lots of different sheds, and I suppose their sons and different ones have taken over since, so that's the way it has been, yeah.
And you mentioned earlier, is it 150,000 organic laying birds in Ireland?
You can Google it or you can look it up, but I think there's something like 150,000 organic layers in Ireland, so it's very small. I don't know how many. We're probably only 1 or 2% of the whole hen laying population, so we're very niche, in the whole industry. So very hard to get your voice heard on price and stuff like that. So because you're very niche.
And how many out of the 150,000 birds do you have here?
We have, as I say, 3,000 bird houses, so that's 12,000. So not all filled at the one time, but mostly in all the time.
And on price, I mean, we're in front of your egg grading machine. I suppose when people go and look at their box of eggs, they are probably aware that there's a certain grade on the egg. Is that for the size of it and the shape of it, or what is it?
Yeah, well, there's grade A eggs, which are all sold in the shops. There's mostly medium and large, and I suppose you go into your shop and you'll see your half dozen or 10 eggs, and whether it's Lidl or Dunn's or Tesco, they're all from the like of farmers like us, and then there's smaller enterprises that do farmers markets, etc. So, but I suppose we send to a company called Nestbox, who 50% of their eggs are exported abroad to the UAE and different countries. So
wow.
Half of our eggs
it's
are
travelling pretty far, isn't it?
Yeah,
United Arab Emirates. Yeah, that's very far.
No, it is, I suppose, great. We export a lot of food in this country, so I suppose there's no reason why eggs can't. I think they were flown out at the start, but now they go out and shipping for them. So, and I think there's a 90-day shelf life on an egg that goes.
And are they advertised as Irish organic free-range eggs? Is that kind of a marketing?
Well, they have their own labels, their own packaging in the supermarkets over there. So it's I suppose out in the UAE you'll not have hens that are outside and organic because it's so hot.
Yeah.
So they probably source them from all sorts of countries. So
there you go.
We're supposed to be one of the top quality countries that they get their produce from,
God knows what banquets and fancy chefs are using your eggs out there. And we have some of them here. They are actually, we have a couple of hens and ducks at home, but these are lovely big brown eggs, I would say. They'd be kind of the ideal egg that you'd have as maybe your boiled egg in the morning or something like that. They're picture perfect. And I guess I'm wondering then, they look amazing. If they're meant to be very good quality, are you happy with the price that you're getting for them?
Yeah, well, price has been an issue over the last 12 months. Our meal went rocketing sky high, and between our packers and our supermarkets, we couldn't get our price up. So
What's sky high in meal? Lay it out for someone who might not be aware of it. What was it, and what did it go up to per ton, say?
our meal was under 600 a ton, and it went to 900 and something, 930 or
That's
something a ton.
incredible.
So and didn't seem as good a quality either. It wasn't able to be sourced from the same spots, but I know it's I'm sure we had a protest at one stage outside a few supermarkets to try and highlight it, and IFA headed that. So I suppose over time the supermarkets had to put the price up, and I know it's hard for consumers. They're trying to get things as cheap as they can, but when you have a quality product, it doesn't matter if it's conventional or free range. The farmer needs proper price, or else what's the point in being at it?
Yeah, that's right.
That's the way I look at it.
There's a lot of squawking and chirping, I would say, going on next door. Could we have a look at your hens, and maybe we'll talk about the breed that you have, and maybe how much of this expensive meal that they're consuming as well?
Okay, we're far more heavily regulated now than we have.
Oh my God!
These are older hens, so they've lost a lot of their feathers as they get older.
Yeah. I've never seen so many chickens in one place. Look at them.
Yeah,
and are they all, what breed are they?
These are actually a breed called H&N,
Okay.
and there's a few different breeds, but I suppose they're a bit like a milk cow. You go for your Holstein or your British Friesian that produce a lot of eggs, and we have them for about 14 months, and then we restock again and get fresh ones. So they're only here for a small length of time, so you want as many eggs out of them as you can.
Yeah. Right, well, they're a little bit noisy. We might move out for a second. One second.
Have the nest boxes at the back, with the drinkers beside it, and then their meals beside that, and then they come out to the scratch area where they scratch around in the sand and the bales of straw and all sorts of things, and then they can go outside to the pop holes outside to the fields to range.
Okay.
So they have a happy life.
To explain to someone, I guess, we're inside in the main area there. We've stepped outside to what you call a scratching area here that's got sand, and they get straw and things here.
Yes.
And then there's fields outside that have quite high wire all around, so fox can't get in. So that's the free range element
the range
of it as
area.
well.
Yeah.
And what are the regulations then in terms of, because some people don't know, and I get asked this a lot, what makes an organic egg different from just a free range egg?
Yeah, well, an organic egg, first of all, has to eat organic meal, which is more expensive than conventional meal.
So there's no chemicals or pesticides used in that meal?
Secondly, the space in the house. Conventional hens are stocked a lot tighter. We have 6 hens to the square metre, whereas a conventional hen, you can go up to 9 hens to the square metre. So actually these houses are built even a bit bigger. So this 3,000 bird house could hold probably 3,300 birds, but you can only put 3,000 hens in a particular airspace. So it doesn't matter what size your house is, you can still only put 3,000, that's the maximum.
And typically, how many tons of meal would one of these houses go through in a year?
Each hen eats about 130 grams per day of meal. So multiply that by 14, multiply that by 30 and multiply it by 14 months. So, I haven't really, there's lots of figures and all, and I've nothing just in my head of what exactly it does, but I suppose it's quite intensive. They need the meal to produce the egg, and they're not like cattle. You can give them grass, but that'll not produce an egg. That just helps probably the flavour of the egg and all, but it doesn't make an egg. You need wheat and maize and whatever mixed together in a balanced ration to produce an egg.
And it's an expensive business to get into being a poultry farmer. Is it about $500,000 a house to invest in the first place ever?
I would imagine, for a 3,000 bird house, it probably It probably would cost you 400,000, yeah, for a 3,000 bird house. For a 6,000 bird house, you might put it up for 700,000. So quite expensive, yeah. And there's very little grants available in organics in that end. It's more, I think we got a TAMS grant, not an organic grant, for our meal bins just and our concrete area at the front of the house. That was it.
The ladies are getting a bit loud. We might step out a bit further. Like you said, they're definitely attracted to the light.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine.
We might go back down to the farmyard because we've talked about the hens, but you're a busy man because you have, is it 90 acres of tillage as well?
Around that, yeah.
Or yeah, 90 acres of tillage.
We had last year, yeah.
And you have beef cattle and some sheep as well.
That's
so
right.
we'll go stroll back down to the farmyard and we'll have a chat about those things. So we've come down to the farmyard, and on the way down we were just chatting, and you said you used to be doing carpentry. So why did you want to change from having that off-farm job to something full-time like poultry?
I guess I wanted to be able to make enough sustainable income on the farm, and if I was just relying on beef, well, that wouldn't have anyway. There would be no holidays, let's put it like that.
Yeah.
So basically I had a look at, thought of going into dairying, but up this part, there wasn't many co-ops, any co-op I don't think wanting to take us on for dairying, so that's why we sort of looked at the organic egg part of it then, to get a sustainable income that way.
And has it done that?
On mostly, but we have big loans because you had to invest lots of money, and I suppose you were very cautious in bird flu times, because not only could you have had no income if your birds were wiped out, you could have had a couple of 100,000 of an extra loan to take out, because there was the compensation didn't really cover. It covered, I think, the birds that actually were killed by the department. But any birds that died, you weren't covered for them before it. I think this is the way it is. And then your loss of income for the 6 months or 1 year that your birds would have been out, it didn't cover you for that. And you, as far as I'm aware, you can't even get insurance for that. So I don't know if I'd do it again. I don't know if I'd put a shed up again, because it's very high risk, because bird flu is still a very big concern in the industry.
And well, touch wood, so far so good, no bird flu here.
No.
Yeah. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. And the other animals then on your farm, looking across, you've got some sheep and some beef cattle. So what role do they play on the farm?
Well, I suppose getting to the farm side, we have tillage, and not all our land is suitable for tillage, and basically the sheep come in around our hen paddocks. We have 2 metre to 4 metre strips, and you need to keep them eaten off, and the cattle would actually do harm to the fences by rubbing against them, so the sheep are good for that, and that's their role. And the sheep are good for eating off some of the stubble and some of the wetter bottoms, and the cattle then, I do have some of the good tillage ground goes back into red clover, so the red clover silage is used for feeding to the cattle or selling, so whichever makes more sense financially. And the cattle are used for grazing the lesser part of the farm, so they have a role, but not as. Years ago we were into sucklers and finished everything, and we just bought in our organic ration in bulk form, as in bought in oats or wheat and fed it to them. But now we can grow our own feed for our own stock and kill them and or sell them wherever we get the best price for.
And do you grow any of your own feed for the poultry?
No,
No.
we have our poultry feed that comes in from our poultry feed has to be heat treated.
Okay.
So I think smaller poultry producers would grow their own feed, but I think the way it is in this country, we don't vaccinate poultry for salmonella,
Yeah.
and because of that, the feed has to be heat treated. So and it's something to do with our export status. It helps our export status to do that. So in the UK, they can feed. There's lots of farmers feeding their own feed, and they can do that. But
That's a pity because it would take potentially a big cost out of the equation for you if you're able to do it yourself, wouldn't it?
Totally, yeah, and it's a pity that there's only one mill in the island of Ireland, and it's in Northern Ireland, that actually produces this organic meal for the hens, and
So you're paying in sterling as well?
No,
No?
you're paying
Okay.
in euro, but
Euros,
you're paying well for it. Let's put it like that.
Yeah.
It's when there's no competition. Like, it comes from England or it comes from Thompson's, which good company and all, but it's like anything else. It'd be great to see another mill getting into this area, because it would be choice and competition both.
And then on the tillage side of things, what are you growing and where is it going besides the red clover that you mentioned there, and then a bit for your own cattle? What else is happening?
Yeah, well, we grow oats for Flavins. We have a contract of Flavins, and we grow oats for them. Now, it was great. I don't think it'll be as good in the future. I think they'll take the price down because they seem to be getting bigger and there's more people at it. And
Now porridge is very popular.
it is, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's you have to. I know there's Chagas figures for all this, and everything looks good on paper, but organic's totally different to conventional. Like, it's a lot higher risk. It goes down quicker. You have a 2.5 ton crop or a 2 ton crop, and then you go to cut it, and there's a half a ton lost. Whereas mostly conventional guys spray it off, they get it all, and the quality sometimes just isn't as good, can not be as good.
They've probably been cursing about the price of chemical fertiliser for the last 2 years, so at least you don't have to add that into the mix, I suppose.
Yeah, I suppose that is a scenario too to consider, but it's like anything else. I suppose the oats is an easy crop to grow compared to, say, wheat or barley, which is good. But I wouldn't like to see it degraded in price, because you have a quality product there that farmers get it quite tough to grow, and it's okay when you have a premium product. We want to keep prices at a price that the consumers will pay for a product when they're surveyed, and why there's no reason why prices could that would be my big concern, that prices would slide over so many years.
And I guess 2023 was meant to be an awful harvest. How was it here for you?
Oh, same, yeah. Only we have our own combine. I don't think we would have got some of it. We combined it all. It was got well. Some of it had to be, treated just to keep it, and it's good stuff. Tested, it was good. The straw, some of it we had in the incorporation scheme, which worked well, but we got 11 acres of straw out of 90 acres, so it was very hard to actually get the crop to start with, and then get the straw was even harder. So just one of those years. Hopefully this year will be better.
So that was my last question, actually. So what are you hoping for going forward? Say if I came back here maybe in a year or two, what would you hope the lay of the land would be like?
Oh, I hadn't really. Usually I do a 5-year plan every time, so I suppose this is coming to the end of the 5-year plan, so we'll have to look at it again. I suppose it's like anything else. We try and make every enterprise that we have on the farm pay and work together. When we had our beef enterprise, we were up to 100 cattle, and we there was a good premium in the beef. There was maybe 15% to 20% of a premium. Now it's back down to nearly, I know it might seem good, but there's not much difference in conventional beef price and organic beef price anymore. So it's I don't see me getting into more beef, let's put it like that, because I see there's more and more farmers coming in, and that's great, because it's great to see the organic growing. But
there will be about another 2,000, I think, beef farmers in about 2 years.
yeah, but I see it as in we'll have it's like an organic will be the same as an Angus scheme. You know, that to me it seems like that. Maybe John Purcell and whoever else could argue different with me, but I don't see the premiums anymore, because when you go out to buy organic store cattle or weanlands, they're crazy money, and there's only a very small margin in it, and I don't see it changing. And we have a premium product, we should be getting premium prices, and that just doesn't seem to be happening. Like with the lamb, it seems to be an issue that there's only a certain market for it, and most lamb is going out of the organic market, which is sad, but that's, I know on this farm, wherever we get the best price, we sell it.
Yeah. So not beef, not sheep.
Yeah, well, they'll play a role.
Yeah.
Like possibly would look at dairying again to see if in the future, if my son wanted to or daughters wanted to take over at it, that they would play a role with the poultry. But as I was saying to you at the start, sometimes you see bits of land going for 400 and 500 an acre, and you think to yourself, should you lease a bit of land out like that to somebody and reduce your workload a bit? Like there are options that we'll all look at, and you have to you have to live, and you have to have a kind of a lifestyle as well, a good lifestyle. So it's not all about work.
Definitely
either.
not.
Yeah.
No, definitely not. Gordon, thank you very much for that.
No
That was
problem.
great. Thank you for showing me the farm, and I loved seeing the chickens. That was great. I think I said previously, I think we've only had 2 poultry farms in the whole 3 seasons of the Organic Values podcast, so that was brilliant. That was our second one and the biggest one as well. But for anyone listening, you've been listening to Organic Matters, the podcast brought to you by the Irish Organic Association. Like I mentioned, there's a huge back catalogue of podcasts there if you're interested in checking any more of them out. If you're interested in checking out organics, though, you can go to www.irishorganicassociation.ie. But for me, Hannah Quinn Mulligan, thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll be back again in another 2 weeks.